I've never seen a diamond in the flesh. I cut my teeth on wedding rings.
Dude, that's pretty cool.
Man, that is
On this
that
sad
is a
clown.
sad clown.
Proud of my address.
Dude, that's pretty good.
This is The Gloom, bringing you weekly interviews with F3 Omaha Pack, exploring their F3 experiences and finding those sticky elements that create the glue in the gloom.
All right, this week we've got a really special guest, another handsome guest. I don't know why we have really good looking guys in our group. I don't know, but this is a podcast, so you won't be able to see him. But anyway, we've got a man who was just recently a site Q at the Danger Zone, a guy I've really come to just enjoy in conversation in the gloom, and I'm happy that I think he's on the mend as far as injuries go. But Animal House, it's good to see you, man. Where we like to start off is just with that first workout, who EH'd you, and then how'd you get the name Animal House? I'd love to hear that story.
Well, thank you for having me. We had to delay this a little bit due to allergies, illness, so thank you for your flexibility, the plague. All right, so who EH'd me? I have to give credit to Schrute, but it probably secondary credit goes to my wife.
Okay.
So Schrute posted something on Facebook, and our M's are friends, so they must be connected on Facebook somehow. Always been into fitness, and you know, I've ran a lot, done all kinds of different things, but kind of had my own thing going on. And PJ Schrute had posted something, and she's like, "Hey, you might really like this. It's a bunch of guys that get together and do stupid stuff." So I'm like, "All right." Well, I was finishing this other program, and so I kept delaying, and she's like, "All right, you're done with this program. You should go out." So met Schrute at Titan Alley. He was a little concerned for me because he's like, the Murph is one of the tougher workouts that we have out there. Are you sure this is the first one you want to go to? And I'm like, hey, if I'm going to go, I might as well get the full experience.
Mm-hmm.
So went out, I believe, I really should remember these things more. I believe Swiper was on the queue that day. And lots of times when you get in front of lots of people that you may not know, I anyway kind of blank out, and I'm not really sure what I'm saying sometimes. So I probably gave a life history, and part of that life history was around my fraternity at the University of Nebraska-Lincoln and my different experiences there, and probably some times I would like to forget or should forget. And hence Animal House stuck. So when you see Belushi and the different gifts that I sometimes put out there, or others put out there for me, it's the result of the movie Animal House.
Oh man, that's awesome. So did you do a double? Did you do a Smurf and a Murph on your first post, or do you remember?
I think I just did a single. I'm pretty sure. I did not. I didn't actively pre-run for the longest time because during COVID, which was about the time I joined, which F3 has been a blessing during that time period, and then it just continues to give going forward. But I had this dog, and I bought her specifically to go running with. So I felt bad going and running without her. So lots of times I would either take her before we'd go to the beat downs, or before I'd go to the beat down, or many times afterwards. I'd rush home to go with her. And I don't know, I think it was Swiper one day, we were working out, and he's like, dude, you really need to start pre-running. So now if you follow me on Strava, you'll see I try to get Ruby out, my dog, at least a mile a day,
Nice.
sometimes more. So triple workout, I guess, sometimes.
Yeah.
There you go.
Yeah. Well, I love that you picked the hardest one. So I have to ask, because you were a runner before, it sounds like, right? So then what's the Murph? What did you think of that? Was that a tough workout, or?
I still hate pull-ups. Always will hate pull-ups, and will continue to hate pull-ups.
Yeah. What is it about pull-ups, you think?
I think I'm weak.
Okay.
So I just don't do them well. And I've consciously over the years done different pull-up programs trying to get better, and I'll get better at it. It's kind of one of those things where if you're not real good at it and it doesn't come naturally to you, you kind of like don't like it. And I think
Yeah.
pull-ups will always be that thing for me. Merkins, push-ups, air squats, I can do those all day. But pull-ups, man, every time they just drain me.
Yeah. No, I didn't hear burpees on your list. So is
You
that,
know, I like burpees.
yeah, yeah, you do.
Yeah,
You've seen you doing the burpee challenge out there.
yeah.
So do you feel like from a fitness standpoint, like where are you at now compared to before you started F3? Have you seen any improvement there?
From a pure fitness aspect, I can with a straight face say I'm not sure from a fitness health wise,
Yeah,
physical, that I've had any true advances.
sure.
So I've definitely done different things than I probably never would have done before or done without F3. But from a pure fitness standpoint, I think I'm okay. F3 has helped make me more consistent, probably. I would go through
Oh,
spells where a month I'd be really good, a month I'd maybe not be as good, a month really good. Most weeks I will be out 5, if not 6 days a week. Icy Hot and I just finished 75 hard, so that was
nice.
7 days a week for 75 days of 90 minutes. So that was lots of fun. But we'll probably get to this later. I mentioned COVID. I mentioned just how it was really beneficial for me. And you read Free to Lead or different things, but the male companionship.
Mm,
I have kids, and you get friends through there. I'm a devout Christian for the most part, although I have many faults and fall short of that glory. But I keep striving. So I have friends there. But there's something about um, meeting a consistent group of people on a daily basis,
mm.
and just get to know them and get to know just totally more in-depth things than you probably never will. So from a mental standpoint, and just like you and I are today, I like physical. What's the right word here? Being able to tangibly, physically see someone in front of me every once in a while.
Yeah.
And during that time period, um, I was on calls like this all the time.
Mhm.
I saw my wife and my kids. We didn't have a lot of activities going on, so you weren't getting out and about. You weren't going to the store. So some of those things really were beneficial to me, and I wasn't even there during the real heat of it all. So I wish I
Sure.
would have found it maybe a couple years earlier.
Yeah. Do you think some of that is what maybe pushed you, from like, because you knew about it and were hesitant to go and we're finishing up some programs, but what do you think it was that made you really decide, okay, I'm going to go try this now?
It's different.
Yeah.
Shrew was really enjoying it. And I think one of the great things as I've been in it for nearly 2 years now is inevitably I will go someplace and I will have a relationship with someone. I may not know their real name,
Yeah.
unless I see them a lot, but I
Yeah.
know them from F3, or we've done a workout together or a community event together. That's fun. My M likes to give me lots of a hard time about that because she's like, "You don't know their real name, do you?" I'm like, "Nope."
Not at all, but I might know that. Yeah.
Yeah, I do though. I do know their nickname most of the time.
Yeah.
So,
That's awesome. So you mentioned the companionship or the fellowship piece. Curious for you as you started in the group, what was it, a lot of guys say it's coffee but what do you think for you kind of enabled those friendships to form?
being beside someone doing something different, them encouraging me encouraging them, you start to build trust and a bond.
Hmm.
Um, coffee's okay, which I enjoy coffee, but pre-runs are you and I
Yeah.
have done pre-runs together, and sometimes you're in a big group, lots of times you pair up or you find someone that you want to run with, and that those are the times where you can really have those deeper conversations about what's going on in their life, what's going on in your life. Is there something you're struggling with? Are you having success with something that you want to let someone know? I always felt it was a kind of a judgment-free zone, right? Sometimes if I run with fast people, I don't talk very much because I can't breathe. But yeah, I think the pre-run is really where I've connected with individuals.
Yeah, no, I love that. I mean, I feel the same way. And it's, coffee sometimes, if there's a lot of guys, it's hard to, really get a full, conversation, and there, other guys are, talking about whatever. And so I would agree that pre-run for me, and it helps the run go by, right? If you're doing like a half or a longer run, you're really like, you almost don't even know you're out there, right? It just goes by so quick. So
Don't even think about it, which is the beauty of it.
yeah. What do you think about, like, I was thinking about this the other day, so, curious your thoughts, but like COTs somehow for me, like when you hear a guy share something that's on his heart in a COT, that kind of opens the door a little bit. And then you feel like if you connect with what he's saying, you can all, you kind of can go on a deeper level. But have you felt that at all, or?
Yeah, totally agree. The most special ones are the really oddball goofball ones, right? But the ones where people get personal are special and help develop. One, they're lots of times bearing their soul, something that's very meaningful, could be private for them, and get in front of a group of individuals. And it's amazing every time you do share something. We all, as males, or maybe I'll just speak for myself, I think my problems are unique, and no one has the same, no one's dealing with the same stuff I am, because I'm selfish, right? And it's all about me. But when they do share and you do have that connection, I found it very beneficial to go up and mention that to them, and have had others do the same for me, to realize, hey, we're a bunch of schmucks here on this earth trying to make it day by day, and we all have similar problems, some more extreme than others, but that support network and knowing people are there and behind you is very important.
Yeah. Have you had any opportunity to form like a shield lock or a sort of whetstone relationship? Anything in that space that you found helpful?
I don't know if I've got there were times where not on a consistent basis. So that is a to-do possibility. I have some definite really good friends that I've formed through F3, but we don't have a text chain or a prayer chain or anything like that. So maybe that's something I want to think about, because I think there is power in that. When I was training for the marathon, which is where I broke my foot, I'm 99.9% sure. There were a group of individuals that were also doing it, and we met just about every day.
Yeah.
So that was a core group. And I enjoyed it. I enjoyed that.
Yeah. Yeah. It's interesting because there's all these little like different opportunities to form like a core group, right? It's maybe if you're training for something, or Queen service, or, the Murph challenge, or, there's all sorts of opportunity there. I think, the shield lock is a little bit challenging. First of all, it's challenging for guys, right, to just ask each other like, hey, do you want to be in this, official thing? But I think it's also challenging just based on our schedules and differences there. So it's like you may connect with somebody in the gloom, but your life may not align to hang out outside of workouts. And the cool thing is, I think that's totally fine with all of us, right? I don't know.
I like the flexibility too. Now I'm definitely accountable to show up somewhere. But it's not necessarily for another individual. It's for myself and the others that will be there, or this, who's queuing that day, or some of those. So, I know lots of packs that have shield locks and love it. Works great for them. I guess I'll ponder that.
Think through that. Yeah.
Yeah.
I'm curious. You mentioned your injury, and I wondered if you would just, talk us through that. I'm curious just how you went through that, and then how you overcame maybe the the desire to not show up? I remember seeing you at several workouts, wearing your boot and all that sort of stuff. But what was your experience like going through that?
So we were training for Grandma's marathon, and I think we'd started a little bit before I became site Q. So Wednesdays, when I was there, we always tried to show up at a place, and if we were doing a training run, lots of times I'd do the workout, and then we'd go do the training run or something like that. But so maintain that flexibility. But anyway, the injury, I don't know when it happened. It could have been during the race. I'm pretty sure it happened during the race because the last 2 miles, my foot hurt really bad. Then I was stubborn, thinking, it's just a strain. You run 26.2 miles. You put in literally hundreds and hundreds of miles to prepare for the race. I just need to lay off running for a little bit. Let's go down. And then the Murph Challenge was happening. And I'm like, I'll go get this checked out after the Murph Challenge. So I completed the Murph Challenge, was sitting with my mom on her deck. And it was still nice out, had my shoe off. And, this was the realization where I needed to get this checked out, because she looked at my foot and she said, there's something not right with your foot. My of course, had been telling me that, because I was gimping around and going, man, my foot hurts, wearing compression socks, so on and so forth. But Mom, Mother's Day is coming up. Give love to your moms. Those that still have them around, cherish that. But I went in and the doctor, well, and in fact, the nurse, they brought up my x-ray. The nurse is like, yep, you have your broken foot. This is unique because lots of times stress fractures, is a stress fracture. We can't see them. We have to really dial in, and mine was very apparent. I could even see it, and I am medically ignorant. Mm-hmm. So then after that, I got the boot, and that was tough. So I had cues set up, and I had commitments to the danger zone. So I never missed any of my Wednesdays, except if I was out of town, whether I had my boot on or not. And what I would tell individuals is, hey, I'm just here to help. And you don't worry about me. I'll gimp along. If you're going to run a long ways, I probably won't be joining you, but I'll do as much as I can. And then various other events I tried to attend if I EH somebody, or there's a big shovel flag pass. One of the things that really helped me realize is, I'll go back to the friendship and to seeing the different individuals you're used to seeing on a consistent basis, or meeting new ones. Because I kind of felt there was a core group of guys that were still around, but then there's all these new guys, and I was only going 1 day a week. Yeah. So it felt like I missed my introduction opportunity for them, because they had been going in their stories. So that was fun though too, in a different way, because then I could re-engage, because they didn't know who the heck I was. Yeah. So re-engage with them and hopefully, lock them in and tell my story and why it's important to me and why I keep coming most days.
Yeah, man, I love that. And I think it is fun, not being there when somebody is getting named is kind of like you feel left out. But I just met a guy this morning whose nickname was Flavor Saver, right? And so then I get to ask, well, how'd you get that name? But anyway, that's another podcast. Curious because maybe this is just me, but like you love to work out. It's a major kind of staple in your daily routine. Then you have this injury and you can't do that thing. I mean, talk me through, like, mentally, emotionally, how'd you get through that? Or did you still work out on some level?
I still did upper body. I did work on pull-ups during that time period. I actually got better at them during that time period. I tried to lift upper body. I came up with a kind of a push-pull leg routine. Legs a little suspect, but the rest of it I could do for the most part in my boot, and I didn't have to move around a lot. So I tried to keep early mornings. That's one of the great things about F3 is typically I'm done and home before anyone in my house is up.
Yeah.
because if I did anything at night, my kids are so busy right now. We're at the point in our lives to where we have something going on almost every night. And when we don't, it's like, what do we do?
Yeah.
So that was good. So I kept that routine up. I tried to walk the dog around the block because I think she probably suffered more than I did because she's used to this activity, and all of a sudden, whoop, nope.
Yeah.
The rest of my family didn't appreciate me breaking my foot because that means they got to take the dog on a walk. But mentally, I think I was down. I gained weight during that time period. Uh, I didn't have, you weren't committed to going out and seeing people. So there may have been nights where I had a couple too many beers because I'm like, if I don't wake up, no one's going to care.
Yeah.
So, but and then coming back was tough because when I left, I was in, I'll call very good running shape.
Mm.
And had completed the Murph Challenge. And I think I was probably in as good a shape I had been in my entire life, just whole roundedness. I could run fast if I wanted to. I could go out and do multiple Murphs on a day-to-day basis. And then you stop. And even though you say you're going to do well, you take out some of that physical push that you get from others, and you just maybe don't push, get that same level of intensity overall. So I can remember when I finally got out of the boot, going out for a run on my own, because there's no way I was going to pre-run because I would have been so slow. No one, even, and 200 yards in, I'm like going, breathing, where you had, 3 months ago or a couple months ago, just finished a marathon with my best time ever. So
Yeah.
I wasn't breaking any world records. I won't pretend that ever, but that was my fastest one ever. So at 48 years old or whatever it was. So that part of it, and I'm a big, I really enjoy the process. So the day-to-day grind is what motivates me. It's not the finishing or the celebration part of it. Lots of times in work, and the thing I really appreciate about F3 is it's something different every day. So I don't know what I'm getting done with it or what I'm getting into. So you're surprised sometimes, but it's that just consistency in that process and doing it on a consistent basis where I just take so much satisfaction out of it. And during the injury, I wasn't seeing, the process wasn't the same, and I wasn't getting the same results. And then coming back, the process was way slower than I wanted it to be.
Yeah.
I'd say I'm, for the most part, back now. One of the things about the injury that it did make me appreciate is the encouragement I got from others. I want to return that. So one of my goals now is to connect with as many people around me, whether they're excelling. There may be days where I want to run with the ponies, and there may be other days where I want to go with the Clydesdales, and just not having that flexibility to just go out there and connect and talk with people, motivate people, help them out going forward.
Yeah. Well, and I think it's what's interesting, like you had the site queue responsibilities that kind of kept you hooked in or plugged in. But I was thinking the other day, like how do we make sure we're continuing to reach out to the guys that get injured, don't have any responsibility that keeps them coming out? And because like you said, it's not easy to just come back, and I think there's probably a lot of guys that were injured, took some time away, and we you almost need to re-EH them, right? It's like, I don't know.
Yeah, as you know, I'll tell this story. So I wasn't sure about this group when I first started, so I gave my work number, right? So if anyone uses the roster and tries to actually contact me, I'm never gonna get it. So Clegg, you can speak from experience there, because I'm like, I don't even know what you're talking about, dude.
Yeah.
But I have in cases, especially since my injury, made it at a point to, if I haven't seen someone in a couple of weeks and I know they're dealing with something, reaching out to them and saying, "Hey, what's going on? How you doing?" Because several individuals did that for me, and that showed me that they cared. They loved me and wanted to see me back out. And I want to express that to them also. I can think of 2 or 3 individuals I've reached out to recently, and a couple of them came back out. So it's
Mhm.
good to see them. So encourage them there. I've been there. I know what I know what it's like.
Yeah, for sure. Well, and if I would just say, if you are a site Q or somebody that has access to the roster, look
Yeah,
out
sorry.
look out for the incorrect phone numbers. But also, if you see Tater, ask him to tell his story about contacting the wrong tardy
Oh,
prior to a VQ. So look out for guys, multiple guys with the same name.
yeah, you have to search multiple times. I've done the same thing. I've mixed phone numbers up too and invited people to things, and they're like, "Hey, this isn't who you think it is," but a couple of times they're like, "Yeah, I'll come. I'll come
Yeah,
out.
maybe that's our strategy, right? We just start texting people, and yeah.
See
Anyway.
what happens."
No, and I guess the kind of segue into that third F piece, or the faith piece. I mean, how have you seen your faith develop through maybe through F3, through the injury, some of those things? Where are you at today?
Several things. So I'm an active member in my church. I'm a believer in Christ. That's one of one of my most important things. Fall short many times, but you got to get back up, and we have a wonderful Savior in Christ. Um, One of the things I think F3 has helped me realize is, it's going to sound cliche, but it is true. The impact of males in our communities has diminished for various reasons, which we don't need to get into.
Mhm.
And getting together with a group of men on a consistent basis and hearing their stories, and then seeing how it's motivated me to get involved in things I never would have got involved in. It's motivated me to reach out to various organizations and state my views, because I don't think that happens nearly enough.
Right.
We've vacated, or society has helped us vacate. I'm not sure what the right phrase is. Um, some of those responsibilities, um, and when you have a great M like I do, she fulfills a lot of the gaps and does lots of things, and sometimes I think I got lazy.
Hmm.
And hearing stories or guys saying appreciate your M's, and that's helped our relationship overall, and also helped me realize, man, I don't know if I'm doing all the things I should be doing. So
Yeah.
I'm still a work in progress, but
Yeah. You mentioned Concentrica, just that,
oh,
kind of how you prioritize your life.
it's a balance, right?
Yeah.
Um, and I I think it's put into perspective. Faith, family, and then all the other stuff is kind of the order I always try to think about it in.
Mm-hmm.
There have been times where I've probably reversed those around way too many times. I probably am obsessive compulsive about certain things, and those that know me really well will say, "Yep, you are." I'll get fixated on something, and that will engulf me. Um, so that the balance has been really important to me. Am I spending time in my faith? Am I spending time with my family?
Mm.
Like little things like taking my wife out on a date, you know,
Yeah.
has become important. Trying to have conversations with my boys. I have 2 boys. They're at the ages where they know everything and dad knows nothing. And I laugh because my dad used to say, I'm smarter than you think I am. I say the same thing to my boys now, and I realize he was.
Yeah. Yeah.
And I should have listened to more of his stuff. So trying to have more of those conversations instead of just being give up and say, okay, you'll learn someday and then we'll talk. Uh, but trying to be that leader of my family, which I think is my responsibility. So leading when I'm supposed to be leading, listening when I should listen,
Hmm.
um, has been big. So
Yeah, man,
faith, family, and everything else.
that's really good. And I liked what kind of that last piece you said there, leading when I should be leading and listening when I should be listening. And I struggle with that. I also wanted to kind of get your thoughts because you mentioned a couple things that maybe this is a selfish question, but you mentioned you enjoy the process of
Mhm.
things. And sometimes you can be obsessive about certain things. So like for me, right, I struggle with this major where like I don't enjoy the process. I want to just I struggle with that and I obsess on the outcome. So I don't know, have you learned anything in your experience that maybe could help me or other guys that have gone through that?
I so I've learned a long time ago. Well, not a long time ago. I compete against myself,
Hmm.
and comparisons to others is where I've always found a slippery slope.
Yeah.
I'm not the fastest. I'm never going to be the strongest, but really looking at incremental gains and incremental improvement in whatever I've been doing. That's the part I enjoy, is setting up those smaller goals. And lots of times it's like, pebbles. And before you know it, your bucket's filled up with all of these pebbles, and you've had all these in I don't know, small accomplishments, but it weighs a lot when it's all
Yeah.
said and done. And you look at where you've gone now, to the detriment though, or the inverse of that, a negative to that, is I'm horrible at recognition at work, with my kids, with my um, because I don't care about that part, right?
Right.
I'm
Sure.
really all about, okay, what's next? What are we going to do next? And how are we going to accomplish this, or how are we going to get there? And those types of things. So I've really focused recently on celebrating those, taking a breath, and celebrating those accomplishments, and then moving on, the
Hmm.
24-hour rule or whatever you say. I don't think I answered your question at all, though. I'm
No,
blabbering.
that yeah, that's good. I think that does help. I think sometimes I'm maybe overly competitive, right? And then you do get into that comparison mindset and then you get frustrated, right? Because like if you haven't been able to post in a while and you're not running as much, and then all of a sudden you're not as fast, and then you get out there and that's really discouraging, right? So then so I think, just like you said, it's a slippery slope when you start being
I'll
overly
talk.
competitive.
IPC is a perfect example. So the first year I went in there, and the first couple I like dabbled, and I was like, I'm not really sure what this is. I don't know how much out of it, what it's going to take out of me. And after a couple, I'm like, dude, I could crush this thing. And
Yeah.
and I did pretty well. Um, then the next year it came along, and I reflected and I said, I don't need to compete against anybody. Those numbers don't really matter to me. And I didn't do it. Um, and I don't know if I'm going to do it again because of it's you versus you. So I like the Apex. Never have done it because I'm afraid I might be obsessive compulsive about it.
Yeah.
Um, but that's really the key, not comparing yourself to others, and that's been a tough lesson for me to learn, because I am uber competitive. But
Yeah.
as I get older, it doesn't really matter as much. So
Yeah. Well, and Brad Pitt, I don't know if you know him, but he said
yeah,
one time in a Q source, he said, one day you'll wake up and realize you have nothing to prove. And I think about that because I'm like, wow, I wonder when that day will come. But the other thing you started talking about was your family and your and I think, at least what I'm learning, is some of the most important things in life are the hardest to measure. And so, just curious if any good resources, or I guess how old are your boys, did you say?
15 and 13.
Okay. Any
So they're in.
good resources for guys that, fathers of boys that people should be checking out, or any advice, I guess?
Oh, I should probably know more of these. Dobson has some good books, faith-based books on raising boys. Um, just try to talk to them.
Mm.
The thing that boys, girls, whomever get more, try to ask questions that are more than yes and no, and switch it up on them. Having those conversations with them, spending time with them, uh, is key. I've got to be careful of not pushing them too much
Mm.
also. So, what's that right balance on pushing enough and not pushing enough? Academics. So, I try to, every time my church is open, I try to be there. And I think that's an important example for them. Uh, I don't know if I've always been a great spiritual leader for my family. So when I talk about different ways of leading, that's one area I am working on more at.
Mm.
Um, and setting that example by them, I'm not, I can't save them. I can pray and I can hope, but that's Christ to decide, and God to decide. But I can certainly fertilize and overall get them involved in things, get them outside, in different activities. I think, um, and that doesn't have to be athletics, but our mantra is okay. If you commit, you're going to finish the season or the school year or whatever it may be. Then you can say you're never going to do it again, but we're not going to do nothing.
Mm.
So, um, lots of various experiences. I've got one that's totally locked in on certain things, and I've got another one that's tried lots of different things. He's starting to find his way a little bit more, but and then supporting them. And one of the things that I have had to learn and continue to learn is I'll go back to the process and not being hypercritical. Well, why did you do this? That made no sense. And just being a fan,
Yeah.
in the activities they do and supporting them overall. Um, and just try to get that relationship enough to where when things go really bad, um, they know that you're there for them.
Mm.
Uh, so I don't know.
Yeah, man, I think that's phenomenal advice. I love that. Just be a fan piece because it's so easy to, you see yourself in your kids, or at least I do, and then they make a mistake that you've made, and you immediately I jump to, why'd you do that? That's, and but that doesn't really help, right? I mean, I think it's yeah, I like that. Just be a fan, man. I'm gonna remember that. I am curious. I appreciate you sharing that too, because I think parenting, we're all trying to be better fathers. Those of us that have kids are lucky enough to have kids, and I think that's maybe one area I've thought about. We could probably share more about and learn, prevent ourselves from having to reinvent the wheel all the time. But the other side of Third Up, I think, is kind of the community involvement or community service type of stuff. Have you had a chance to get out and do any of that stuff with the guys?
I have, and that's an area I definitely could do more of. Um, at And maybe I should bring my kids after I gave that whole conversation on parenting, right? And get them involved in
Yeah,
some of those things. We do a lot
there
with
you go.
with our church, so that takes up some of it. But brick builder, I helped last year with that. You know what? I'm writing that down, just like you wrote down being a fan. I'm gonna that should be a goal of mine, is how do I get more plugged into some of our community events. I've
Yeah.
contributed obviously, but contribution I think is kind of a weak way out. So
Yeah. No, I love that. That's good. Yeah, and it's tough, right? Because we're all at different stages with kids and family and different capacities, or like you said, you're helping at your church, right? And so, but yeah, I think early on I got to do one of the Heartland Hope. I'm sorry, it was actually Abide. It was the Abide Christmas event, and I remember doing that with Vandalay. And it's like another tier of fellowship with your brothers when you're serving in the community with them. It's fascinating to me how it all works. But
well,
I,
how do you contribute to the greater good? I think similar
yeah,
to what Brad Pitt told you, I have nothing to prove.
yeah,
Um, but how do you make your community better? And how do you leave a lasting impression on others in a positive way? And those are ways you can do it.
yeah, absolutely. I do want to get your thoughts on, our mission, right, is to reinvigorate male community leadership. So curious how you feel like we're doing there. I know you've had a chance to cue many workouts and be a site cue, but what was your experience like from a leadership standpoint there?
I think that's one of the coolest things to see people step out of their comfort zone, getting in front of a bunch of people and just trying something. It's kind of like the advice you give to someone that's getting married. So reflect on your own marriage, your own ceremony, if you had one, no matter what it was. And typically, one of you planned it to the nth degree. And you, because it wasn't me in that relationship, there were parts of it that I was an active participant. But you know exactly how you envisioned it and how you want it to go. And inevitably, it's not going to go according to plan. But then you ask everyone else involved in that ceremony what they think of it. And most of the time, they're a happy, festive event. People don't realize that the cake wasn't in the right place, or this didn't get served right, or that didn't happen when it was supposed to happen. And I think a lot of individual, the packs get nervous about queuing. And anymore, I've done it enough to where I'm like, man, this sucks. We're switching it up, and you just come up with something new on the fly, right? So getting out of that comfort zone and seeing them excel, and just lots of times the exhale when they're all done with it, because it's a big deal.
Yeah. Yep.
And I love to support them. And and I can remember vividly, and I tell everybody that ever had a VQ at the DZ or one of the places I go to a lot, I'm like, man, you're not going to sleep because you're going to be really nervous about it. It's like giving that big presentation. Don't worry about it. It's going to go fine. No one's going to know if you mess up or where you're going to mess up, because there's always someone around to help. So if it's going really bad, have their back, let them know it'll be okay going forward. When I've had to be gone, when I've had my injury, I've been amazed by the support and the willingness for people to help out on different things. So the COTs, we hit on that a little bit earlier, and those inspirational messages or what people are dealing with, they hit home sometimes, and they help you realize, I could help someone there, or I could do more there. Overall, and just the willingness to put yourself out there, whether it be at a school board, whether it be at a commission, whether it be at work, having the opportunities to practice those things in safe places, I think pays off in others.
Yeah. Well, and like you said, some of it is just getting guys used to being out in front, right? Not every guy has that experience. And then, teaching guys how to fail, fail forward, fail fast,
Fail fast.
I'm curious your thoughts too, because you Black Tuesday, right, is who you handed the flag to. So tell us what sort of went into that decision. Was it an easy, you knew it right away, or was there a process you kind of had to go through?
No, I had a bunch of guys that I had thought about. And then I really looked at, okay, who shows up?
Yeah,
that was a factor,
key.
right?
Yeah, that's key. Yeah.
Who consistently shows up? And then the other determining factor was who does it the right way. So this is going to sound mean, and I'm in this group, but there's some people that go out there and it's kind of like, we do the motions, various reasons. One, you don't feel like being there, but you showed up. Kudos. I can say I've done that before. But Black Tuesday was one of those guys. Every time I worked out with him, he just always did it the right way. He always did pull-ups the right way. He always does air squats the right way. Now people are going to watch him with this critical eye. Sorry, Black Tuesday. Now you're going to have to really keep it up. And he always had very insightful, meaningful COTs and thoughtful workouts when he cued. He was just someone that always, kept rising to the top. So, and he's excited about F3. I knew he'd be excited about the opportunity. It just another leadership opportunity for him. So those were some of the reasons.
Yeah, no, it's
He's
awesome.
going to do good things.
Yeah, well, I was bummed. I don't normally miss a shovel pass, but had to be in office for an early meeting that morning and was bummed. I love the pictures, just being able to see the guys, new guy holding the flag up at center field there. Pretty cool.
Funny story. I knew my flag was kind of suspect a little bit, and I jerry rigged it, and I went up to get my flag to pass to Black Tuesday. And if you've been to the danger zone, lots of times we meet in the stadium. We get the lights on and it's all lit up down there. Rooney always on certain events will turn all the lights on. So it was nice and bright. About halfway down as a windy day, snap, my flag, the holder
No.
to it snapped. Of all days, had to be that day. So I held it until, and then when I passed him the shovel, I go, dude, I'm sorry, man, this broke on the way down here. So I'll fix it. And he ended up fixing it. But that's just another one of those instances of stuff just sometimes doesn't go to plan, right? So
Yeah.
deal
Yep.
with it and move on.
Yeah. Well, no, I love that. I do, so we just celebrated the 5 year anniversary, and one of the questions that Tater and Waytime led a workout, and Waytime asked this question. So we've been asking it to guys, and it's really cool to answer. So curious your thoughts here. But the question is, what did I think was important when I started F3, and what do I realize is more important now? Anything come to mind for you there?
I didn't realize how much I missed male friendship.
Hmm.
Um, and expanding my network. Growing up, you're part of a team at work probably. I have my church family and friendships there, but um, you associate with people that are on your kids in their band or in their athletic events, but um, none of them were like my friendships that I developed.
Hmm.
So prior, that was something I probably didn't even think about anymore. So that bond of male friendship and expanding that network and getting to know different individuals has been one of the things that has really, you come for the fitness, you stay for the friendships, and that is so true.
Hmm.
I when I first read Freed to Lead, I'm like, I don't even know what they're talking. What are they talking about? But now that you've been through it long enough, you're like, man, that is what keeps me coming back.
Yeah.
So my encouragement is put yourself out there, right? Talk to people, get out there and get to know them a little bit better, um, and you'll be amazed at what happens.
Yeah, I love that. Any other advice or topics you would want to cover? Just thinking, in the past we've had advice for maybe a new guy or site cues, or just how do we make sure we're welcoming to new guys? But would be curious if you have any thoughts there.
Site cues. This is a good. This is. I tried. Got passed to me. I always tried to keep a month or 1 week a month open on my schedule.
Hmm.
So if a VQ or something came up, it didn't always work for me because thankfully I had people usually lined up wanting to queue, but I think that's good because we got to give others opportunities.
Yeah.
So um, to really grasp on if when they're ready to take that plunge and do a VQ and lead for the first time. Um, for others, commit. What you put into it is what you get out of it.
Hmm.
So if you enjoy it, and maybe put a little bit more effort forward, and who knows what will happen. I love seeing guys also that do commit and that you help motivate and you watch their journey. Yeah, 50 pounds, 60 pounds, hundreds of pounds. I never run. Now I'm pre-running. Just seeing those journeys and people pushing themselves out there. Set those goals. Compare yourself to yourself. Try to be better every day. And those small incremental changes will add up over time. And I said, I'm sounding repetitive. You'll be amazed at the results you get if you just have that mentality.
Yeah. Well, I appreciate the consistency, in that message. And I think it's, for a lot of us that resonates, I think it, like you said, it's a slippery slope when you start trying to compare to others. So I definitely appreciate that. Last question here, just curious what, when a guy sees you out there in the gloom, where do you need prayers or encouragement these days?
Oh, great question. I appreciate that. I want to, well, help me. Am I doing the right things with my kids? So prayers for raising my children, prayers for them. This world is and will continue to be a crazy place. And so that we're doing the right things, they're making the right decisions. I think, oh gosh, that's probably the big thing for me right now.
Yeah. No, I love it. I think that's, I think we could all use some prayers for that, but definitely next time we see you out there, and maybe next time somebody sees you out there, they can race, right? Help you test out that new foot. No, I'm kidding.
You bet. You bet. Let's race.
Totally kidding. Oh, I love it. All right. Okay. One other thing.
I don't sprint anymore. I did listen to Retweet. He said, once you're over 40, you should never sprint anymore. And I use that term all the time.
Nice. I love it. I have also been asking guys, so a lot of times I'll listen back to these episodes and try to come up with a clever name, but I'm open to your ideas. So what would you, if you got to name your episode of the Gloom?
Oh, my episode here?
Yeah, what would you name it?
Toga Party.
Toga Party. Okay. What's the significance of that?
I don't know. They've started Animal House.
Yeah.
And in that movie, there's a big toga party. Toga.
Yeah.
So that's my callback now. I don't know if that's a Sarpy thing or if it's a F3 thing just going on, but the callback, you have your name, but then there's a callback that happens. Mine has been Toga recently.
Okay. I love it. That's great. All right, man. We'll do a quick name-orama here. I'll start.
Okay.
Brandon Flehardy, 37, The Plague.
Oh, The Plague. Jared Durr, 49, Animal House.
Animal House. Toga. When's the big 5-0, man? When do you get respect credential?
It's coming up.
You're not going to tell?
Nope.
Oh, no. Oh, man.
Nah, it's probably, let's see here. What is it? May?
Yeah. May
10-ish months away, 9-ish months away. I just turned 49, so I got some time.
Got it. Awesome. Well, hey,
it's in March. I'll give it up. It's in March, sometime in March.
Sometime in March. All right.
Yeah.
Well, then we'll be saying respect at that point, right?
Yeah, that's crazy to think about, man.
Hey,
yeah.
Appreciate you just being vulnerable and sharing your journey. This was great.
Well, I thank you again. I apologize and appreciate your flexibility. This is. I was nervous about this a little bit too. So
you did great, man.
Thank you. Appreciate all the
workout.
Appreciate all that you do too, Plague. You're great seeing you out there. Appreciate you doing this because I started listening to these when I knew I had one coming up because I'm like, man, I probably should listen to those. But there are great nuggets out of all of these.
Well, thanks, man.
Yeah, no, appreciate
that. Got a lot of great guys out there, so just trying to develop the platform. But enjoy the rest of your day, brother.
You too.
Later.
Thank you.